Hey guys, check it out. You're watching Jonathan Clark on YouTube. Oh no! The chances of a zombie apocalypse happening is very real. For those of you who refuse to believe this warning, I think you should take yourself up on the opportunity to prepare for an inevitable zombie apocalypse. If we were to believe what Disney Channel was promoting, we would all be preparing for a zombie apocalypse and the world would be preparing for a quarantine, which apparently, due to scientific research conducted in England a while ago, would take up to 7 hours to quarantine the entire world. Thank you guys so much for the explosion in subscribers over the past 48 hours. Over 250 plus subscribers have gravitated to this YouTube channel. For the life of me, I really don't know why, but whatever you're doing, keep doing it. Just last night, I watched The Rise of Red for the first time in what felt like forever. It brought me back to my years as a teenager in high school and being bullied and driving my dad side by side in the woods and up in the mountains. But they took their side by side in through a rabbit hole, and it brought back some fond memories of my childhood and my teenage years, which sometimes I don't really want to talk about, but it's kind of fun seeing that side by side going through a rabbit hole and watching them stand up for themselves. I think the message of empowerment was both illustrated in both the Descendants and Zombies franchises. Even though you look weird as a zombie, acceptance is achievable. And I think it would be kind of cool living in a world with both humans and zombies learning to coexist. You know, that whole concept of a soda plantation exploding and a lime soda explosion turning everybody into a zombie sounds really cool. I would love to live in a world where you would go to the mall and you would see a bunch of zombies, you know, coming out of quarantine, you know, having to wear a quarantine suit to the mall, going to EB games, buying your favorite game, and, you know, seeing a bunch of zombies in the line, you know, high-fiving each other on the school bus. It would be kind of really cool to see that. This whole concept of zombies is taking the world by storm, and I can see why everybody's such a huge fan of it. For me, I go back to watching, you know, old vampire movies like Twilight and Resident Evil, March 22nd, 1996. That video game was first released, and now we have video games like The Last of Us, which is really, really cool, and that TV series, which is a spin-off from it. I think it's really cool how Disney's really coming to its own with the popularity of this one exploding. Over 781 million hours of stream time for Descendants, a rating of 6.4 for Descendants, a rating of 6.2 for Zombies, which is 0.2 percentage, putting Zombies a close second to Descendants. You know, you would think that Zombies would be the more popular one, though, because of the story and just the whole concept of a girl falling in love with a zombie, discovering her origin of being a zombie herself, and then the introduction of aliens and werewolves and now vampires coming up this summer. Has anyone seen the second trailer that's been dropped for Zombies Dawn of the Vampires? Well, if you haven't, you're going to see it today, and I hope that you call up your friends and you talk to them about it, because it's a pretty cool trailer. I initially don't know why they didn't use this one as the premiere trailer for Zombies 4 Dawn of the Vampires. I also really appreciate how Zed and Addison, their characters, Milo Menon and Meg Donnelly, are going to be the producers of this one. They are sitting in the production chair, because as I said here just a couple of days ago on this YouTube channel in a previous video blog that I threw up, it takes someone years before they establish the representation of being a producer, like a Selena Gomez or an Ashley Tisdale. A couple of days ago I saw some interviews with Selena Gomez and Ashley Tisdale respectively talking about their time with Disney on Phineas and Ferb and Wizards of Waverly Place, and now they're producing Phineas and Ferb and Wizards of Waverly Place for reboots, with Wizards Beyond Waverly Place and Phineas and Ferb coming back for a new season in 2025. Do you think that we will ever see Meg Donnelly and Milo Menon come back for other projects with Disney? I think the possibility is up in the air. It just won't have anything to do with zombies for forever, but that's obviously what they've garnered the reputation. You know, for me, I go all the way back to 2018 when Meg Donnelly was first casted as Addison for the Zombies franchise, and I said to myself, you know, this girl's really got a lot of potential behind her. The PR for her was at an all-time high, and everybody was so excited about her coming in for Disney. You know, it was the end of 2017 when I saw the promos for the original Zombies movie, and this franchise wasn't expected to be as successful as what it was, but it was almost like Disney knew the definite direction they were headed in. And, you know, her ability to sing, her ability to be an actress, and eventually a producer, you know, was at the forefront. And I remember seeing the initial promos of this one. I actually just watched the original promo for the Zombies movie back in 2018, and it was so fun seeing that. I'll be showing you the Retro Zombies promos coming up in future video blogs, but today we're going to be taking a look at the new promo for Zombies 4 Dawn of the Vampires. But I remember how much hype was put behind this. The PR was at an all-time high. I remember the Christmas specials that Disney Channel was doing around the same time that Zombies was being released, and Meg Donnelly was doing this scene with the Star Wars characters, and they were trying to escape the Force. It was so fun. It got me thinking about me escaping the Force and being alongside Meg Donnelly. I think we would have survived, and they had the opportunity to shrink down to the size of a toy and go through the Toy Story section of the Disney World, and I wanted to be one of the toys, and man, the celebrities have always been shafting me. You know, here I am with almost like 1,700 subscribers on YouTube, 1,602 to be exact, and, you know, people like Logan Paul and people like Mr. Beast, always ahead of me, entrepreneurs. I should be an entrepreneur about now. So you guys have to help me with that. Whatever you're doing with this YouTube channel, the overwhelming response it's receiving, you have to keep hitting the button. So I can be like these celebrities and have the opportunity to be in Toyland and, you know, be in these Zombies movies. Even a cameo would be awesome. You know, you haven't got to worry about the leather jackets. I've got those. You know, I think I've got the whole art of being a vampire slayer down pat. You know, I've seen Buffy. I've seen the Vampire Diaries. I've read Dracula. I think I'm ready to go. And I've been doing a lot of research on how long it would take the world to quarantine, you know, what you would have to do to prepare for an inevitable zombie apocalypse. And fortunate enough for each and every one of you, I literally live 2 minutes out the road from a soda plantation and a power plant literally simultaneously side by side, or literally 30 seconds away from one another. So if there ever was an explosion of a power plant or a zombie explosion or a zombie invasion because of a soda plantation exploding, I am ready for it. The only unfortunate thing for me is there are only 2 ways off of this island. You're kind of really isolated, so it's either by plane, where you could crash, or boat, where you could drown, so either way you could die. But isn't that the eventual outcome of movies having anything to do with zombies, vampires, and werewolves? You know, the hero doesn't always have to win. The zombies could overtake the world. But, you know, in a movie starring Jonathan Clark, I don't think that zombies, werewolves, and vampires, and now aliens would ever have the opportunity of doing it. But, you know, there's always the possibility of being very unpredictable. And that's the thing about these movies like Zombies and Descendants. They have been very, you know, unpredictable. Nobody knows what's going to happen from one installment to the next. And, you know, I really appreciate how people are putting out their predictions about this one. Now, Meg Donnelly's throwing a lot of hints out for the PR she's been doing. There was a 60-second short threw up on Facebook the other day that I saw, and I'll be throwing it up on my Facebook page if I ever see it again for you guys, where Meg Donnelly was telling the people who were doing PR with her that she wanted Zombies 4 Dawn of the Vampires as the producer of it to really have a Camp Rock High School Musical feel, with rock music, you know, emotional music packed behind it. So that should really increase the hype for this one. But I think that High School Musical and Camp Rock really were movies that were really ones that came into their own really quick and became some of the most popular of all time, with 7.7 million people tuning in for High School Musical back on August 17, 2007. And no, I don't have to research that date because I was there for that. I was there for the theatrical release of High School Musical 3, which had a multiple. You know, it was magnified by double the people that went theatrically to see this one. But I remember the premiere of High School Musical 2 being the greatest of all time in the history of Disney Channel, with 7.7 million people tuning in for that one. Its predecessor to High School Musical. And nothing could ever surpass it, and it holds the record for being the most successful Disney Channel movie and franchise of all time. I think Descendants and Zombies are placed in a close second to that. It does not mean that High School Musical or Zombies will not come in as the most successful of all time, but you know, I think that High School Musical will hold the record eternally for that. It's kind of be like the Undertaker on his WrestleMania win streak. You know, almost 30 years being undefeated at WrestleMania, then all of a sudden here comes Brock Lesnar and knocks him out. You know, to me, Descendants and Zombies will definitely be some of the greatest of all time, but then there are these TV shows and movies that will hold the record for being some of the greatest of all time indefinitely, such as Hannah Montana, which is going to go down as the greatest Disney Channel TV series of all time with over 100 plus episodes, and then of course High School Musical, which will go down as one of the most revered Disney Channel movies of all time, kind of like The Undertaker's win streak at WrestleMania, which is the best example I can throw your way. But the passion is really there from Meg Donnelly and Milo Menon as producers of this one. They were really excited to come back. You have people like Dove Cameron, who I was a huge fan of years ago, and that's why I became such a huge fan of TV shows like Liv and Maddie and Descendants. When I first saw Dove Cameron, I said, this girl is packed with talent. It's just so unfortunate that she contemplated quitting her role as both Liv and Maddie on that TV series. She didn't want to pull a Lindsay Lohan and play two characters at once. Lindsay Lohan did a great job doing it. I think that she, tried to do it, but she couldn't do it as effectively, and that's why she wanted to contemplate quitting. But she did receive a huge fan response for that. I remember falling in love with Dove Cameron. It's just a shame that after the Descendants trilogy finished up in 2019, she started dropping a lot of unprofessional comments about it, saying that, she felt like the cast of the original Descendants did what they had to do. They told the story, they completed it, but a story never ends. That's the thing. There's always this opportunity to expand on a story. And I go back to the final line of the original Descendants Rise of Red movie from 2024. You didn't think the story was over, and you can't expect to alter time and not expect consequences. And I think that's what this new spin-off of Descendants, Descendants 5, Descendants Forever, whatever they're going to be calling it by the time they finish up shooting for this one. I think this is what this one is going to focus on and really bring the best of the characters out. We're expecting the transformation of Ruby Rose Turner's character Bridget. We're expecting an expansion of the characters Red and Chloe, Mila Baker and Kylie Cantrell, who have done a phenomenal job. I remember Kylie Cantrell on Berserk, which was Disney's answer to shows like iCarly, and then Here Comes Coop and Cammy Asked the World for 2 seasons, Berserk with an additional 2. It's just a shame those TV shows ended long before their time. But I remember just, the publicity behind these celebrities and how they really got it off the ground, and it just exploded in the way of popularity. Here's Kylie Cantrell with 2.1 million followers on social media. Mila Baker, the same thing, and Dove Cameron. Don't even talk about Dove Cameron's following on Instagram. 45 million subscribers on Instagram. Come on. And on the Descendants and Zombies social media front, you have 10 million people subscribed. I'm lucky to have almost 2,000 subscribe to this YouTube channel. Hey, Descendants, can I borrow a couple of million of your followers? It wouldn't kill you to offer me 2 million people. Unbelievable. And now in this new promo, we're going to see a car crash. We're going to see a lot of emphasis put on football. So then it got me to thinking about, training for the NFL. It's a really dark, spooky day out there. So it's the perfect day for a zombie apocalypse to kick off. And I thought about, training for football, doing the whole, conditioning for it. And then I thought about, the possibility of, anything. But could you imagine me going through a rigorous regime for the NFL? Don't even get me started on that. And don't even get me started on, driving a car. The closest thing I did to driving a car the other day was driving I think it was some kind of, what was it? Some kind of how do I describe this? The closest thing I did to driving was driving a go-kart, I'll call it. When I drove in the grocery store the other day, some old lady asked me to drive back her go-kart that she was carrying groceries on. And the dude I was with was like, man, I don't know if you can drive this or not, but boy, did I ever show him. I drove that go-kart just to I guess all the years of playing Mario Kart really paid off. So when it comes to driving a side-by-side or something in the way of a Zombies movie or a Descendants movie, I think I could get the job done. Not to mention I could kick a whole lot of butt, which I'm really, really excited about. I'm really excited, though, to see, what kind of music will be in the Zombies movie, because they're saying that it's going to really have a camp rock, High School Musical, Hannah Montana kind of feel. So with that kind of impression given to us, will it live up to all the hype and all the expectations? I really don't know. I got my doubts because, there's only one Hannah Montana. Miley Cyrus did a fantastic job as Hannah Montana, and that goes without saying. She goes in and auditions for Lily Truscott, the best friend of Hannah Montana, and comes out with the lead role. I think something similar happened with Dove Cameron. She didn't initially, audition for a show called Bits and Pieces for the lead role, and they thought she was so fantastic, and she got it. Same thing with Kylie Cantrell, but I remember watching Kylie Cantrell on Hello Kylie, her web show, and it was so cool how she was reviewing shows like Sam and Cat, which I was a huge fan of years ago. And, you know, her show would only be probably about 10 minutes long. I was one of the first people to subscribe to it, and I was always liking the posts and stuff, but I liked the posts with a good reason, because she was just so, you know, into what she was doing, and I had a greater appreciation for that. And that's why I have such a huge appreciation for what they're doing with the Descendants spin-off and Zombies. It's just so freaking cool when you see such a huge response for these celebrities who definitely deserve it. And it really inspires me to want to, you know, go Kung Fu Panda on a bunch of vampires. You know, I don't know how I would feel about, you know, fighting 50 vampires on one side, probably 150 zombies on the other, in a fog-surrounded, you know, setting. And then here comes Addison and Zed to save me out of the fog. You know, too late, guys. I already kicked the butt of a whole lot of vampires. You know, that's what I do when I don't podcast. You know, I hunt vampires in the nighttime. That's why there's a huge window to your right there. I jump through it, in and out through the window every night. You know, I start fighting vampires probably between 1 and 2 a.m. I get off shift at 7 a.m. Then I start podcasting for you guys and tell you all about it. And you're saying to yourself, hey, Jonathan Clark, man, you really do believe it. Have you been abducted by aliens lately? I've tried multiple times to get abducted by aliens ever since I was probably, I'll say, 13 years old. It hasn't really worked out to my expectation level yet, but the chances of me getting abducted by aliens, with how weird I am, probably is at an all-time high. I'll let you know how that goes. You know, when I was a kid, I used to sit in my on my lawn every night, probably between 8 and 9 p.m., and Mom would look up through the window. She would say, hey, Jonathan, what are you doing? I'm saying, Mom, go away. I'm trying to get abducted by aliens, and I'm looking up at the stars. And that story about me wanting to suplex people, really, really true. You know, I really thought wrestling was real when I was probably 8 years old. And what we used to do, you know, at recess and lunch, we used to do wrestling moves on each other. And one time I suplexed somebody, and then I was sent to the principal's office. You know, it wasn't good. But we patched things up, and, you know, I learned how to, you know, coexist with people. But, you know, we used to have a whole lot of fun suplexing and pile driving each other when we were kids on the playground and during recess and lunch. It was a whole lot of fun. So that's what Descendants kind of reminded me of just last night when I watched it. And I think last night before I fell asleep, I was listening to that song, Don't Know Where I Belong, from the Zombies soundtrack, the original Zombies soundtrack. And the cool thing was I was really into it. I was really feeling my emotions because I'm a very emotional kind of guy. But that song had such a powerful message, and that's why I hope these songs of this new installment of Zombies, Zombies 4, Dawn of the Vampires, has just as much emotion packed behind it. The cool thing is they shot this one in Toronto. The last three they shot in Toronto, and this one now they're changing the location from Toronto to New Zealand. I have been in Toronto a number of times. It is a beautiful place. So the original Zombies being shot in Toronto, and then of course Descendants being shot in British Columbia. You couldn't have picked more beautiful places to shoot these movies. My mom earlier in her teaching career was both in BC and Toronto. I've been in Toronto a number of times. Beautiful city, the population at an all-time high, very friendly people. But you couldn't have asked for a more appropriate setting. You know, it's really dark, really spooky, really gloomy a lot of the time in Toronto, so it really fit the criteria of a zombies kind of movie. I think I would be all in to shoot a movie in Toronto called Zombies. I think I would be all in to shoot a movie called Descendants in British Columbia. It's just they've never taken me up on the opportunity. Guys, whatever you're doing on this YouTube channel, please keep doing it. I went over 2,000 subscribers on this YouTube channel. That is my goal for this YouTube channel, over 2,000 subscribers. So if you could help a brother out and hit the subscribe button, it'd be really cool. Help your fellow zombie fan out and keep hitting the subscribe button. Keep doing whatever you're doing. We're going to take a look at trailer 2, which was released just a couple of days by Disney Channel's music page on YouTube. If you haven't seen it, this is really cool. I don't think the quality is as high as the original Zombies trailer that's been posted all over social media over the last at least 24 hours. It is unbelievable. Over 1,600 plus of you have subscribed to this YouTube channel. What do you say we watch this trailer together and prepare for the inevitable, a zombie apocalypse, which is very, very real. There are so many of these custom and official trailers for Zombies 4, Dawn of the Vampires. It is truly unbelievable, the fan support and the love that you guys have given this franchise. Over 781 million views on Disneyplus alone. And just to let you guys know, to bring you up to speed, I will be taking a look at some retro Zombies trailers from the original trilogy 1 through 3 from 2018 to 2022 because they are so cool. Just the other night I was watching a lot of music videos having everything to do with zombies. And if you want to prepare yourself for the inevitable, a zombie apocalypse potentially happening, and your soda plantation or your power plant, be it if you live literally 2 minutes out the road from either a soda plantation or power plant exploding, be sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel because I will be preparing you for the inevitable, because believe it or not, the potentiality of a zombie apocalypse actually happening is very, very real. And you're saying to yourself, hey, Jonathan Clark, you really believe what you're promoting on this YouTube channel? You're really into it. Yeah. Take it from a guy who's tried to be abducted by aliens and hunted vampires for pretty much all of his life. Let's watch this trailer together.
Think about football this summer. Yeah. And you?
Even though we ended up as counselors at the
Wow, that looks so incredible. That was probably one of the best custom trailers someone ever put together and collaborated for Zombies 4, Dawn of the Vampires ever since last year, late 2024. Everybody was so hyped for this one, and I can see why. I can't blame you guys for being so supportive of this one because it looks so freaking cool. I remember being a huge fan of the original trilogy, and I think everybody is a fan of the original trilogy of whatever they're a fan of. But I remember being such a huge fan of the original trilogy, thinking Meg Donnelly was so gorgeous and amazing, and everybody who was a part of this cast really blew my mind. And, you know, I think that I've wanted to be a vampire hunter and a zombie slayer ever since. And that's why I do it on night shifts when I'm not recording this podcast. So if you guys want to prepare yourself for an inevitable zombie apocalypse, be sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel. I'll be throwing more helpful pointers and tips your way. Give me a second to switch back over and we will close this thing out. I'll be heading out to Walmart today to check out game share prices, so if I see zombies going crazy and trying to kill us all, I'll update you in an upcoming video blog on my YouTube channel, so stay tuned for that. The potentiality of a zombie apocalypse happening, according to what Disney is promoting, is very real and obviously inevitable. It's really cool, the PR that this movie is receiving, literally 3 months away from its release, which is still a long way to go. We've got a long road ahead of us. We've got the Zombies Descendants Worlds Collide Tour happening this summer. I'll be covering that for you, but Meg Donnelly did an interesting short interview that was posted on social media. I believe I threw it up on my Facebook page. I will be showing it to you in an upcoming Zombies video blog on my YouTube channel. It's really cool, where she hopes that Zombies 4 will exceed the expectations of all the critics and have the same kind of hype put behind it, like a Hannah Montana High School Musical, Wizards of Waverly Place kind of thing. So that was kind of really cool, and I wanted to show it to you. And I also found it really cool how they shot the original trilogy in Toronto. It's a beautiful place, and I've been there a lot of times, and I had a whole lot of fun there. The people there are amazing. The scenery is incredible. I'll never forget my time in Toronto, and if you ever have the opportunity to visit Canada, I highly recommend that you take yourself up on the opportunity, because places like Toronto and BC are second to none. The people are amazing, the scenery is incredible, and you couldn't have chosen a better place to shoot movies such as Zombies and Descendants. It's just a shame now they're moving it to New Zealand, and we've kind of gone away from Canada. But beautiful scenery here, and I love every single second of it. Don't ever believe anyone who tells you that the possibility of a zombie apocalypse happening is not true, because it is true. It is very real, and I will prepare you for it. So if you believe it just as much as what I do, you will subscribe to this YouTube channel. Guys, thank you so much for your support and your love of this YouTube channel. I want over 2,000 subscribers. That is the next milestone. In the YouTube synopsis, in the YouTube description, I always throw up a goal, and right now the goal went from 1,500 to 2,000 subscribers, because we've exceeded over 1,600 subscribers on this YouTube channel. You're all zombie-like, yeah, always subscribing to this YouTube channel. Thank you so much for that. We've got a lot to talk about. The reboot of Phineas and Ferb, Lilo and Stitch. Marvel's Thunderbolts is on the way out. A lot of video games like Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. The Last of Us Complete is on the way out, and a lot of conversation revolving around having everything to do with Descendants and zombies. Really excited about it. Be prepared for a zombie invasion by hitting the subscribe button. Bye, YouTube. We will do it again in a couple of days.